Hello, this is Adam R. Brown, and welcome, ladies, to another episode of the Autoimmune Rehab Podcast, where you can always find show notes and all archived episodes online at autoimmunerehab.com or wherever you listen to podcasts under Autoimmune Rehab. And today's episode, I have something that I feel like is underestimated, but really, really important. And as you probably are aware, if you've paid attention to any of my other episodes, I don't talk about diets or food very much on this podcast. And the main reason that I don't do that is I feel like, one, there are a lot of other podcasts out there that talk about it. And I don't want to be just another copycat of every other podcast out there. But the other reason is that I feel like there are a lot of other aspects to our lives that impact our autoimmunity and our healing that are not about food. However, today I am going to talk about food. However, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit of a different sense than maybe what you've heard of before. And we're going to talk about the concept of intuitive eating, or maybe otherwise known as mindfulness eating. So to start with, let's talk a little bit about what it is, why I'm talking about it, and then we will jump into what I consider to be the 10 principles of intuitive eating. So the first reason I'm covering this topic is because I think too often we are taught when we get an autoimmune condition that we need to follow a strict diet like AIP or something that eliminates a large number of foods. And I did do another episode in the archives you can go back and find on why I don't follow or recommend AIP. And I can link to that in the show notes. But basically, I think it causes or increases eating disorders because it basically just tells you there's too many foods you can't have. And I realize that a lot of the logic and science behind this is that they're trying to make this more of a temporary elimination type thing. But for too many people, I think it becomes more of a permanent thing, and it becomes a really big problem to constantly be no, no, no to a lot of foods. And I feel like a lot of us really know what is good for us intuitively if we really take the time to sit and think about, even pray over our food, be grateful for our food, really think about the food we're eating. I think a lot of us know what is good for us and a lot of us don't. And so, second, I also feel strongly when you get an autoimmune diagnosis, you don't need a strict diet. You need to learn to listen to your body, because the lack of doing so is one of the reasons that you got an autoimmune condition in the first place. So, just to give you a personal example, I have known for quite some time that gluten was really not good for me. And I've actually been 100% gluten free for 10 years now. So, this is in hindsight, but I probably knew that gluten was not good for me for probably at least 5 years before I actually went gluten free. I kept riding this roller coaster where I'd eat some bread or something that had gluten in it, and then after 4 or 5 days, I'd feel better. So then I'd say, oh, I can eat some more again. And I'd go in this continuous cycle. And sometimes I would even go up to a whole month without eating gluten, and I would feel great. And then I'd eat some and I'd feel like crap again. And so I felt like intuitively I knew that I need to give up the gluten, but I was still a little bit struggling with the whole concept of how do I do this? Some of my favorite foods are not gluten free, that kind of thing. And it finally came to a turning point where I finally just started to listen to my body more and to realize that I just had to do it if I really wanted to have really good health. So I feel like that's a good example of listening to yourself and intuitive eating, that kind of thing. That said, I really do think that gluten-free is something that everybody with an autoimmune condition needs to try. I have done like an episode or two on gluten-free that you can go back and listen to, and it is a myth that you only need to go gluten-free if you have celiac disease. Feel like it should be tried by everybody with an autoimmune condition. That said, some people with autoimmune conditions are able to tolerate some gluten if it's things like a sprouted wheat bread or a sourdough or things like that. So it isn't still a one size fits all as far as staying away from gluten completely forever. Okay, so let's talk about now about some of the benefits of intuitive eating, or mindfulness eating, you could call it as well. Is, first of all, it can help with eating disorders and eating disorder recovery. So a lot of people, if they've had an eating disorder or feel like they've been prone to an eating disorder, engaging in intuitive eating can help heal from that, because you just start listening to your body and eating according to what you know your body needs and your body wants. And the other challenge you have is that dieting, which is really the opposite of intuitive eating, also increases cravings, whereas intuitive eating reduces them. So it can also help you to avoid negative self-talk and to improve your body image. So now let's talk about what are considered to be the 10 principles of intuitive eating. So number one, reject the diet mentality. Intuitive eating requires letting go of the idea that there is a perfect diet or that a certain body shape is ideal. So, we come from a diet culture that really does not benefit us and our health. And, it can encourage eating disorders, even some people. So, you want to just get rid of the diet mentality and focus on eating what feels good to you and your body. Number two, honor your hunger. Eat when you're hungry and don't wait until you are starving. So, this is something that can take some practice as well. I know a lot of us, including me, we've started doing things like intermittent fasting to help with weight loss and things like that. And to some point, you want to try to not give in to cravings and not just be eating all day long in unlimited amounts. But you want to learn to listen to your body and know if you're truly hungry, you don't want to wait till you're starving, you want to eat something. Number three is to make peace with your food and allow yourself to eat the food you enjoy without feeling guilty or ashamed. Now, this one can be a little bit tricky because a lot of us in the beginning, when we first start this, like I've started a journey recently to completely eliminate sugar from my diet. And this can be a challenge to begin with. And while, yes, I have enjoyed in the past some foods that contain sugar, I have decided that that's really not great for my body. And so I'm going to learn to enjoy more the things that I know are good for me. So this one can be a little tricky, but it's still something that's important. And it is still one of the good principles of intuitive eating. Number four, challenge the food police. Stop judging yourself or others based on what they eat. All foods can fit into a healthy and balanced diet. So this is another one that again can be a little bit tricky. I know personally there are some things I've chosen not to eat. I said like gluten, sugar. I don't really eat dairy very often either. I will occasionally eat a little butter, like feta cheese or goat's cheese, things like that. But I really don't judge other people for eating that stuff. And where it says all foods can fit a healthy, balanced diet, I would say there are definitely some things like things, cookies and cakes and things. Yes, those could be a balance depending on your health concerns if you were to have those only occasionally, but you really got to be careful there. Number five, respect your fullness. Stop eating when you are completely full. And comfortably full. So this is another really good one. I find that a good tip to make this happen is to eat what you think will make you full, and then if you're still not quite sure if you're full or not, to drink some water, wait 20 to 30 minutes, and then a lot of times you'll find, yep, I'm full, I don't need any more. Number six, discover the satisfaction factor. Enjoy the taste, smell, and texture of your food. Take time to savor your meals and snacks. So this is another problem that a lot of us have in Western society. We just kind of garf down our food or gobble it down. We don't really take the time to, like it says, enjoy the taste, smell, and texture and savor food. And if we did that, I think we would eat a lot less and we would be more inclined to listen to our body again with intuitive eating and know what it is we really want. Number seven, honor your feelings without using food. Find ways to cope with emotions and stress that don't involve eating. So this is another one. They say that a lot of us are eating our stress or eating our anxiety, and we really need to stop doing that. There are a lot of other ways to make that happen. I've mentioned some of them on some of my other podcast episodes, some of my videos on my YouTube channel, blog posts, things like that. Personally, some of my favorite ways are using aromatherapy or essential oils, hugging or playing with my dog, going outside for a walk, reading a book, watching a funny TV show. You get it. There are just a lot of ways to honor your feelings and your emotions without using food. Number eight, respect your body, accept and appreciate your body regardless of its shape or size. And this is another one. A lot of us are used to looking either at Hollywood or models and other things and thinking, oh gosh, I look terrible. But the reality is, you want to try to respect and love your body as it is, even if you are currently working on things like reducing your weight. Number nine, meal plan by creating a list of meals and allowing yourself to choose whichever one feels right for you at the moment. So this is something I've started doing more. I used to be more strict about meal planning where I would say, okay, Monday, I'm having salad for lunch. Tuesday, I'm having leftover dinner, which might be, like some gluten-free pasta with chicken and broccoli or whatever. And Wednesday, I'm doing this. And I've decided that personally, in order for me to really embrace the concept of intuitive eating, I do better when I just create a list of meals for the week and then I choose whichever one I feel like I want to eat for that day, for that lunch, or that meal. And I found that it works a lot better. Then number 10 is to honor your health. So make food choices that promote both physical and mental health while allowing for enjoyment and flexibility. So this is, I feel like, a really good one, especially when it relates to some of us that have autoimmune conditions and there's certain foods we feel like we either can't or shouldn't have because of the effect that it can have on our autoimmunity, on our joints, pain, things like that. But when you really think about it, like, does your body really intuitively want to just eat cookies, cakes, and candy all day long? I would suggest that it doesn't. In fact, I would suggest a lot of us, especially if we have an autoimmune condition, our body doesn't even want those things at all. So once you get to the point of being able to exercise a lot of these other principles and finding other ways to honor your feelings that aren't food, I feel like that's a big one. You're going to automatically turn towards eating foods that are a lot healthier and realize that that is really intuitively what your body wants anyway. So I hope that you found this episode helpful. If you would like to reach out for a free discovery session or consultation, the link will be in the show notes. I would love to talk with you a little bit more about this concept of intuitive eating, or I can help assist you with some healthy meal planning or whatever else you'd like to talk with me about. So don't be shy, and I look forward to sharing with you on another episode soon.